Hello Redditors, welcome back to Tales Against Humanity. Now, let's get started. In today's episode,
Mom shocked that she's asked to clean up after her child. This isn't a story I experienced. I just read it in an article online. I couldn't believe what I was reading and the absolute insanity of the article, so felt the need to share to this sub. I'm just going to copy and paste the entire article as this sub doesn't allow links. It's from a site called KidSpot. Mom Stacy came to a sad realization after a recent night out for dinner. On a Saturday night, I watched the waiter run around sorting table after table at the busy restaurant in the inner west suburbs of Melbourne, fresh out of lockdown. Lots of families, lots of energy, lots of food. He looked like he was under the pump, and I felt for him. Coming from a long line of people pleasers, I tried so desperately to smile at him when I had a second between sipping my red wine, dealing with a hangry husband, and attending to my 10-month-old learning to sit in public places. At the time, my baby boy Bryn was also learning to feed himself, and whilst we used cutlery from home and tried our best to support him to get the food in his mouth once it arrived, Bryn had gained an understanding of his power, the power that lies in putting food to his mouth with his own limbs, and was very excited in doing it himself. It appeared he was to eat or feed himself, or he didn't eat at all. So, he ate. Mostly. The food that didn't make his little mouth went to the floor. All over the floor. As it hit 20 minutes past bedtime, my husband and I began to scull our one drink and glanced at each other with it how times have changed. Look, and we started to pack up. The young waiter looked at us as he started to clear the table and moved his gaze to the floor. An astonishing scene for a man I assume is without children and perhaps in line to be the cleaner-up of said mess. As we grabbed our bags, Bryn's quiet vocal demands were turning into a strong yell, and by the time we were standing, it had turned to a deep roar cry. Where do I move next? Is it my job to get on my hands and knees and ignore that my child will not be soothed? My breast was the primary medicine for my teething child, and start cleaning the pasta with my own bare hands? Or is it the waiter's task who is paid to serve us at a family restaurant and support us to have a pleasant evening? He asked me to help him clean it, and it wasn't until he asked where I found my position in this new dilemma. New, due to our baby being born 4 weeks before our lockdown, robbing us of these experiences and working through them in one big slap. I was mad. Whilst I understood this man may never have children nor want to. Like anyone around the globe that doesn't want children, I sincerely wish him well and power to him and his choices. But when did we start turning the other way to elements of life that don't affect us? When did our community decide kids and family were the less cool option and decide that supporting them was also uncool? Similar scenarios have since happened to me at the library where my son peed on the floor, or on flights where Bryn's cries have been my second concern after the comfort and serenity of my fellow passengers being my number one. But why? Why do we only support where we relate? Our community is becoming more and more segregated. This example isn't touching on the depths of gender, sexuality, or race, sure. However, what it did demonstrate to me is that our virtues are being lost in our exclusivity complex. Our life and our life choices are all we have the space to advocate for. I want my children to grow up in a community that looks after the vulnerable. The elderly and the innocence of children are included in this. The kind of community I want Bryn to see is one in which we all work together. Does that make me old school? Unrealistic? Selfish even? Is it my job and my family's job only to raise my children? Or, as a community, should we stand up and support each other? Even if we can't all relate to everyone's position and choices. Story 2. Continued story about Emil entitled mother-in-law taking me to court for visitation for grandson. Back in Feb, I made a post about my youngest son's grandma Emil and her husband taking me to court for visitation for my son. She wanted and still wants 1 week per month visitation. I got a call from her attorney's office today, and the person I spoke with explained that not only does Emil want 1 week per month, but also wants 2 weekends and alternating holidays. I said no and was told that the judge is going to be expecting a written agreement settled out of court by tomorrow. I disagreed to the entire proposal. I didn't want to sound close-minded or stubborn, but I explained that I had recently received custody of my 3 older kids and my kids have a strong bond with their brother. They've been away since my son was born, and they just barely moved back. I also mentioned that I am moving back to my hometown, which is 4 hours away from where I live now. My youngest may have family here, but my older kids and I don't have a support system, so I feel it's best we move closer to family that I've actually been raised around: my mom, grandma, auntie, and siblings. I messaged Emil and let her know what my counter offer would be. 1 week per month during summer vacation, 1 weekend per month. Holiday visits are to be done either the weekend before the holiday or the weekend after, of course, with her being the way she is. Her response was, "That's not fair." Then she said that if I'm moving, then she's just going to request 2-week per month visitation. She then told me we'll just have to settle in court. I stuck to my guns and told her that this was my counter offer. Court is today at 10:00 a.m. I'm so nervous. She's been a control freak since before my son was even born. And may I mention once again, she's the grandparent, not the parent. Her son's father, is in prison for a violent crime. Her husband is also a part of the case because he's one of the petitioners as well, but I can't help but believe that she's pulling all the strings and she wears the pants in the relationship. I have not ever refused her visits with my son. She has always been able to see him whenever she wants. We live in the same town for now. This proposal was brought up before my plans to move BTW. Thanks for listening. Story 3. No, you can't touch my dog. Sadly, this isn't the first time this happened. My GF and I got a dog since we moved in together. Since we both don't like to buy from breeders, we got him from the local animal shelter. Our doggo we called Ragnar, like Ragnar Lodbrok. We both love the show Vikings. Ragnar is a good boy. He's potty trained now and he loves me and my GF. Ragnar is a German Shepherd/Border Collie mix. We got him full grown and the shelter guessed he's between 1/2 and 3 years old. So he's a young doggo. But like many rescues, Ragnar isn't the best with meeting new people. He needs some time getting used to people. So we have a yellow ribbon on our leash. In Germany, a yellow ribbon means stay away. So today, I went walkies with Ragnar because my GF was at work. When I walk him, I never go to the dog park or the popular park in my city because of people. As I walked, I saw a child running towards me and Ragnar. Ragnar got into a defensive stand and I raised my voice to stop the kid. It didn't work. I then yelled at him to stop and do not touch my dog. Apparently this was a mistake. Me's well me EK equals entitled kid EM equals entitled mom EM. Don't yell at my kid. EK, I want to pet the doggy. He just wants to pet the dog. Me, no. Don't you know what this mean? I pointed to the ribbon, that means closer contact not wanted. EK:** still tried to touch my dog. Me, don't you dare. Don't talk to my kid like that. Just let them pet the damn dog. Me, now. This ribbon is there for a reason. He's not good with people. Well, if he's so dangerous, maybe you shouldn't take him out or even have him. Me, oh shut up you idiot Don't swear in front of my kid, you. Really worse German swear word. After that it was over for me and I just passed her at her kid. A maybe 5-year-old boy threw a tantrum because he couldn't pet my dog. I just walked away. Ragnar got a treat because he was a really quiet and good boy during this whole thing. We went home and I can't wait to tell this story to my GF when she comes home from her hospital shift. We're both nurses. Don't ran up to dogs, kids. Yellow ribbon or not.